Hi, my name is Megan Gidley and I'm the Director of Marketing with Connect. Welcome back to the Get Connected podcast. We're in Acton, California with Johnny Flores, and today we're going to be diving into the bridle horse tradition with the two rein, and Johnny's going to be giving us a little tutorial and a demo on how this works. Let's dive in. All right, Johnny, let's dive into the tutorial of the two reins. What do we have here?
Well, we got the first part. This is the bosalita. It's just a smaller version of a hackamore. The tying process, putting it on, fitting it, it's all exactly the same. If you watch the hackamore video, you'll know exactly how to fit this. The only difference is it's usually 3/8 or 1/4 inch. This one is 3/8, it's on the bigger side. The 1/4 inch I usually save for when they're like almost at the bridle, because it's as you get smaller, you get more refinement of signal. Because it's less that's actually on the horse, so you have to work with it lighter. Your horse is better, they progress. So anyways, all of this is pretty much the same, and I have a simple little rope hanger on it. This right here is our bridle. I'll actually leave this hung. So this is a spade bit, and it's got a lot of working, moving parts to it. It's a tad dirty, but generally with the mouthpiece, it's straight, there's no tongue relief. Tongue relief basically just means that it puts pressure on the bars. It's usually a little notch right here, but there's no tongue relief here. There are little rollers here. They move independently. Everything here kind of wiggles and jiggles. We got a roller here. She can play with that like chewing gum. Kind of zones in the horse, kind of lets him chill out a little bit. Sort of like how pitchers will chew tobacco or gum. And then this longer port, it allows her to hold it. You know, if you were to hold this, Megan, and I yank it, I'll yank it right from your hands. But if I give you an inch diameter rope, you're gonna hold that pretty darn easily.
Right.
So it's a similar concept. I want to offer her a lot of protection. And then the actual height of the bit is pretty darn close to the length below this part, the shank, which makes that ideally give me less leverage, give her more protection. So she's never backing off the bit, she's working with the bit. And then right here above the cannon bar, above the mouthpiece, this is called the purchase. It's usually about half the length of the shank. And that's just like an old, long-held tradition with these things. The braces are put back just a little bit. That way the horse can feel it. And all these different signals, they work together. And the little jiggly wiggly part of this thing, you know, you pick up on the bridle and the horse might be holding it and they'll feel that first before you actually make real legit contact. So it's a neat way to help, again, give all of these different signals to the horse. And then the curb strap is just a simple plain leather NRCHA legal curb strap. These are my favorite because they're not like chain where it's forcing the horse to really give. It's just flat stitched, pretty old leather. It's super kind to the horse. And its function with these kinds of bits is usually to limit how much a spade moves. Because if I didn't have a curb chain on, I could pull and I could lodge this in her mouth like when you chew on a Dorito the wrong way, and we don't want that. We want to limit its movement to, again, everything is about protecting her mouth, protecting her, offering her more protection in every way I can. And then we got our reins here. These are a little bit springy. You can kind of feel them there. They're not exactly floppy like many reins. They actually have some feel to them and a little bit of snapback. The core to those, I made these when I was first starting braiding. But the core is just old riata. Riata is like the vaquero's equivalent to a roping rope or like a lasso. And it's 4 plates of rawhide. They have a lot of feel to them. Again, I don't like the super floppy ones. I think they just bounce around. I think these hold themselves up. Floppy ones I think are dead weight. And we got rein chains here. The traditional vaquero idea was to use rein chains, and people will say nowadays that it's to keep your reins nice when your horse is drinking water, and it's like that is not true at all. To get leather, to get rawhide back in the day, back in the old vaquero's time, was easy. Cattle were everywhere. They were dying all the time. It was cheap. But to forge iron and to forge a chain and actually go through the motions to make it, it was for sale. And prior to that, fun fact, it was actually used to prevent knights from cutting your reins in wars,
Oh,
which is a neat little thing. But that's just me being a nerd. So anyways, all these things kind of work together to give her as many signals as possible, as many, hey, listen up, before I actually directly pull on her. So we'll put it on right here. And I like to use a brow band headstall. I think that it holds the headstall, or the bit, a little bit more square. Kind of like those hiking backpacks that have all those straps that go over your chest. I think it just holds the bridle in one place and it doesn't move around so much. As far as putting the spade into the horse, usually I come from the side, because right in here, I don't know if you can see that, but right in there, there's like a little area where there's no teeth.
Yeah.
And I'll usually put the tip of the spade in there, and that just kind of lets her open her mouth slowly. Oh, big one. There you go. And some people put on the curb strap every time when they put on their bridle. Some people leave it on. I'll usually take it off for my other horse. He's got a bigger chin, so having the curb strap on while putting it on him is a little bit of a pain. It kind of pulls on him. But with her, she's got a pretty little chin, so it just goes right on. As far as the fit and all that, we want the bit to be nice and up and in the mouth. Spade bits usually sit lower because they have those braces. It's like two sets of bits, right? So it holds it all lower. And that's the sound of magic right there. There's spit in her mouth. She's like, mwah, 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 and that lubricates her mouth and it makes her happy and it helps to keep her light. We want to make sure that everything here is nice and centered, nice and even. And as far as the way that I try to fit it, she's a mare, so she doesn't have canine teeth, but usually there's canine teeth in that little area right about there.
Right.
And usually what I try to do is put the spade bit as close as I can to those without hitting them. And the reason is I don't want to hit those teeth, that sucks. But I do want it to be close to entice the horse to pick it up. It's, you know, you ever wear like sweats and your phone vibrates, you can't feel it, but in jeans you can feel it no problem. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get her to hold it to where it's really close and she can feel every minute little movement. People will say, you know, wrinkles in the sides of the mouth. That's irrelevant because mouth conformation differs so much. But if they don't have those little teeth there, usually I'll just put it to where it rests comfortably. I'm not trying to make huge wrinkles, just to sit nice and in there. I don't want it to be too far. And then the curb strap, I don't know if you guys can see that curb strap, but the curb strap's on fairly snug. It's about a finger that I can stick in there. And the reason why is, again, we want to try to limit the movement of the spade. You watch a lot of like reiners, you'll see they tend to have their bridles with a little bit of a looser curb strap, and that's perfectly fine for curb bits and more the cowpuncher style. But in the vaquero tradition, we're not using this to administer leverage, we're using this to limit leverage and to protect the horse. So it's a different ideology overall, at least with the traditional mindset. But yeah, and you want to, you know, adjust your reins, make sure that they fit your horse, and then you can either tie this off or put it in your belt if you want to be cool and fancy. So that's how you assemble the two rein.
Awesome. Okay, Johnny, I think these two kind of go hand in hand, but how do you get your horse to move one way or another and get it to go where you want it to with the two reins? And I'm sure that leads right into a full tutorial on the two reins.
Yeah, so I think the best way I could probably explain this is to kind of show you a little bit. And with the two rein, also, you don't have to feel like you're stuck in it. You could lay your reins down and work with strictly the mecates and school your horse. That's what's really neat about the vaquero tradition, is it's so much schooling that it's not like you have a finished horse. But like getting your horse to go places, you want your horse to be neck rein. So my horse can move off my reins, and that comes from a series of repetition, right? Putting the rein, then bumping them where they want to go. See, let's go that way, I'll show you the answer. Let's go this way, I'll show you the answer. Maybe use my leg and I'll reinforce it. And it goes back to doubling. So that's how you get your horse to go one way or the other. And by the time that you're in a two rein, you should be at the point where you can competently complete your job and things and rope and all that with one hand and be able to, I don't know, pick up and back up, be able to side pass. Something else that's really important is be able to correct things with your legs. Like right now, I'm just picking up and tying this down while I move the hips over. Like being able to have your horse super mobile and broken, be able to isolate all the different body parts effectively is really important, because when you're in the two rein, you're basically just switching your bolsalita. It's basically just riding in a hackamore with a bridle on too. It's not as overly as dramatic as some people may make it seem. You should be riding like this in your hackamore for a time before then. But as far as helping your horse goes, there's a few different handholds to kind of help. And my favorite way to do this is to suspend the reins. I think that if I'm riding like this, like how AQHA show standards require me to, I have to like adjust my reins to pick up, adjust my reins to let them down. That's all static in the lines. That's like TV static for the poor horse. You ever talk on like those bad walkie-talkies and it's like, yep, and you can't hear anything? I think that's what this is like. So I try to hold right here, and I'll usually put the mecates between my index and middle, and then I'll put the reins right over my index finger, and I'll just kind of pick up and hold here. That way I can move around and do all these fancy little things here, and I'm suspending the reins. So if I'm not, like I can pick up this one rein and all the other reins are chilling. They are not moving at all. That's just something really important that I find. If you're gonna be working, maybe just tighten up your reins a little bit so you have more control and you don't have to ride way the heck up here. But generally, I'm training for show. I'm training for perfection. I'm not training entirely to just get a job done on a ranch. So my style may be a little bit different. There are a couple of ways to hold the two-ring. So obviously, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We want to start where the mecates are tighter than the reins. That way, if I pull, my horse feels mostly the mecates, mostly what's familiar, the bosalita. But by proxy, feels these bridle reins, till eventually I can start to pull on the bridle reins, and she'll start to kind of associate it. And it's okay, she's a little bit green of the bridle. But over time, you know, you'll ride with even pressure to where I'm pulling both of them, and they'll start backing up. And a lot of this is going to really help the horse. And the two-rein is something that takes, I think, a year to 2 years. As far as holding it goes, there are different ways to hold it. Like this right here, this is called 3-reining. I don't know why it's called 3-reining. There are 4 in the end. But it's a 3-rein where you kind of hold and suspend your reins and then fix one hand and really directly help the horse. Again, like I said, you could altogether abandon the 2-rein and work in your hackamore. But these 2 ways of holding it are really good when your horse is sound, sane, and they're back in their 2-rein. You basically hold the 3 fingers on one, and then this 1 finger holds the other one.
Okay.
That makes sense. So 3 on this one, 1 here. And the reason is you could pinch these 2 fingers and pick up on this right side, and you could pinch with your wrist and move it around and pick up that side. Something you can do with this hand hold is you have a lot more strength, so you can reach down and grab the right rein and bring it back up. See how I'm bubbling my reins here? So now I got a ton of right rein. And the same thing can happen by picking up with that left part of my hand. I can pick up and get her head to cock that way. The other and more complicated way that I think works better when the horse is more sound and like further along, and they're not so green to everything, is basically holding each rein independently of one another. So the pinky finger holds the left bridle rein, the ring finger holds the left mecate, middle finger holds the right mecate, index finger holds the right rein. And that way you're holding every little thing, and if you wanted to, I can pick up on directly one bridle rein, or pick up on the left mecate, and really be able to pick at my horse. And those are all things you can do to help your horse, but the idea that in a perfect world, the 2-rein, your horse is already so broke that you can ride with a hammer grip and you should be able to help them enough with that. I just like doing this because I think if I hold with finesse and lightness, I get to have that sort of elevation of signal. But if I hold with a hammer grip, I have hammer finesse. That's just my personal opinion. But that's kind of like I guess the cliff notes for how to use and administer a 2-rein.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything else someone should know before they begin doing a 2-rein training?
Yes, if you're going to be doing a 2-rein, you can't ride in a bosalita and just chalk it up to that. The idea is to ride lighter because the tack that you're using is lighter. Everything gets more refined. Everything gets better. If you slap on a bosalita but you're pulling as if your poor horse is in a 1-inch or 3/4 hackamore, you're not really riding it. You have it on, good for you, but you're not actually riding it that way. So I think what a lot of people miss is they think their horse is wonderful in a 5/8, and that's perfectly okay. But is your horse wonderful in a 1/2 inch? Is he wonderful in a 3/8 by itself? They have to be competent enough to perform in just a bosalita, one-handed, in whatever you're going to be doing, whether that be cow horse, versatility, roping, straight up ranch work, trails, whatever. They have to ride at a lighter level. Don't just slap on the equipment. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to put on the bit and let the horse just take it for a stroll going out on the trail. Way before she was properly ready for the 2-rein, I would use trail cool downs to get her used to the bit and just let it be something that was always kind of around, so it wasn't such a shock when she turned old enough to really properly use it. So I think that, get your horse exposed to it. Don't be so afraid, but just make sure that, again, you do your work in the hackamore. Because if your work's done there, this stuff is easy. You breeze right through it.
Right, and take your time.
Yes.
Really take your time.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching another Get Connected podcast. Make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page and YouTube channel because we have... Is your butt itchy? You just had to get that off. Your butt's itchy. Yeah, it's itchy. So is your neck.
Testing. Bibbidi bobbidi, testing.
Check.
Check.
Thanks for watching another Get Connected podcast. Make sure you stay tuned to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel for more. Have a great week.